this game. Malphite will be the next ban, actually, up against Wicked. Used to be a prominent Irelia Malphite player, so taking that away from him. Gangplank is the first ban, followed by Fiora, and she aims at Sartorius in the top lane.
Inspire once again going for target bans rather than you know, straight up bans.
Flat out meta ban.
Kalista is a fairly meta ban. Haven't seen it as much as we used to when it comes to being banned away, but certainly the Malphite, you would not expect to see that banned away. You can instantly see the Wicked kind of opts for, what do I not want to play against this game? Gangplank Fiora. Get him out of there. Don't want to play against it. That's not a good thing for Wicked to have in the lane against it.
Rek'Sai is the final ban from Inspire here, and is waiting on the last one from Copenhagen Wolves, which is Corki. So there's no easy first pick Corki in this game.
So that means Alistair is available. You know, Poppy, if people really wanted it, is available. Lulu is up. Lissandra is up. There is a lot still available here. So there is the cow.
Yeah. Well, Sartorius, he played AP Gragas.
No, go.
So it's not too far away.
Stop it.
From AP Cow.
Stop. I just want them to nerf that all the way through the floor, so you're never gonna see it.
Still
quick lock-in of Lulu though.
Yeah. Well, it was left open, and you might as well take it on your first rotation if you take Azra as your first pick from Inspire. Locked in with the Lucian as well. I want to see what they use the Lulu to buff up, because usually you bring like an Olaf or something, you pack heat.
Or if you're Origin, you bring Sven on Lucian. So we'll see if Pinoy can do his best
channel his Sven
impression, and just hopefully Soren can just use those buffs, throw out massive amounts of damage. That's what turned around Origin's fortune in the last few weeks, has been that Lulu. We'll see if the Wolves can do it as well.
You have to have a lot of faith in your AD carry to do something like that, though, because Lucian, he's kind of like flat all the way through the game. Like, he's constantly good at each stage, versus like some AD carries who peak at a certain point, you know? And
I think that it's now a little worrying seeing what Inspire have locked in on the other side. Is they've locked in Graves, which is obviously a very solid jungler, and now an Ezreal, which I assume is going AD carry. There is the possibility for it to be mid lane, but I highly doubt that. Problem with Ezreal is Ezreal needs time to get that tier stacked up, get the Iceborne Gauntlet as well. I just wonder whether the Lucian-Lulu combination is going to hit their power spike roughly the same time as the Ezreal. Yeah. I think it's about half an item to an item more in favor of the Ezreal to be slightly earlier on that 2 items, but still I think Copenhagen Wolves should have a bit more of the upper hand against this Ezreal.
Perhaps. We'll see what they build around it as well, because they do have a bit of engage from the Alistair to get on top of the Lucian. They still need some burst to take down the Lucian, because Graves, unless he can get in range, which is one of the difficulties as Graves, then he won't be able to get his burst off, and then Ezreal as well will be very far back. So I'd like to see something here that could like pop the opponent, like Alistair in the top lane. Even Gragas, though, like we saw it last week from Sartorius, like he built high amounts of damage, and we saw him pop an AD carry.
It is a pick that he's been working on. I wonder how confident he is on it and just kind of blind picking it, because
that's true. Yeah.
There is, well, he's locked it in, is the thing. So he obviously very clearly comfortable blind picking. They could put the Lulu top lane. I would more expect that to be a mid lane for Soren, though. General trend is we've seen Lulu going mid. Yep. Now with the Gragas going for the top lane, I actually don't know. That's a lane matchup that if Gragas is building full AP, I think is not too bad for Lulu to be in for the majority of that.
I think so too.
I mean, it's range versus melee, like.
It's range versus melee, and a lot of his damage comes from the body slam and setting up the barrel, which you can't really do against Lulu, who stays so far back. Will polymorph you as you go in, and also with the minions in the way, is very difficult. But it could still be a mid lane Lulu, as you mentioned. We saw a lot of that. A horroring over the Yari, but it doesn't really mean anything right now. Lux was the other pickup from IE, which will be in the mid lane for certain.
Yeah, it will. I think we saw Cassiopeia from Soren last week, actually.
And Cosq.
Rightly. And Cosq. Did they both play it?
I think so.
It's
a Cosq champion.
It's also a Soren champion. It's like his most played.
Yeah, out of the LCS
I'll look
as well.
into that as we get in there. But it is the Ahri that gets locked in for Soren, and that rounds out this composition. It's, you know, kind of amount of catch on Copenhagen Wolves. You got the Charm, you got the Cocoon coming from Elise, so couple that with the Pillar. Fairly difficult for the Wolves to get somebody all the way, for Inspire to get all the way through the Wolves to get to the Lucian. And then again, on the same side for Inspire, they have Gragas for the disengage that they had last week. They've now got Alistair that can engage and protect as well. There is a fair amount of disengage and catch potential on both teams.
The peel is nice, the poke is nice, and you have wave clear as well from the Graves jungle. So it's very clear, like, that type of setup. Going to be looking less at the team fights and try and skirt around the fact that you're buffing up a Lucian. So maybe they can get around the pretty solid team fight from Copenhagen Wolves. Elise in the early game, mentioned it in game 1, slight nerfs, but it's only 5 movement speed from spider form and human form, and a bit of damage shade of volatile spiderling. So it's not massive, it's just a small hit.
Yeah, the real thing on that is not only is it the early clear, volatile spiderling was like a minor wave clear tool. It's like volatile spiderling plus an 80 carry tended to be enough to clear a wave, but now not so much the case. Still does a fair amount though.
Yes, it does. It was only 15 damage, I believe, so it wasn't a huge amount. It just kind of hurts her early trading power, especially against a Graves. That can actually play into it, but make sure you jump on Twitter and get involved in that discussion. Hashtag IEWin and hashtag Copenhagen Wolves win. That's Inspire win, not Infinity Edge win.
Not Infinity Edge win at all. But as we get into this game,
it is if you're Jin. Inspire
taking a lot of Thunderlords on their side. Fewer on Copenhagen Wolves. So Masteries, thanks to 6.2, now have them on the loading screen as well. So lets us see them, although then you've got to try and remember them for the entire game, and that can be difficult.
Yeah, some of them you can see all the way through, though. I believe Bond of Stone on Nukes a lot, as we saw him. I wonder what Wendelbo is running. If he's running Windspeaker's Blessing, which I've actually seen a lot of Alistair's run.
I believe he was. He's not running
Bond of Stone.
So
okay, then most likely Windspeakers. And that's actually more for when the team is grouping up, and acts as a really nice defensive tool if they get into a team fight up against Copenhagen Wolves or they get engaged on.
Yeah, you get a fair chunk of resistance from that.
Yeah, you get approximately 2,500 extra stats worth, gold stats worth in armor and magic resist at level 18. Of course, you never really get to level 18 as support, but puts it in perspective.
A support can dream.
Yes, they can. But it's still a lot of gold. Level 18, the dream. This could go long, though, if IE completely stall out the game, because they have really nice wave clear tools.
Well, we saw the Wolves game run along last week, so no reason that it shouldn't. So this is Inspire looking to interrupt the Krugs. Problem is, they're about to get circled upon.
This is not good, and Troven with Wickers coming in from the bot side, and Wendelbo's already low. He's only level 1, he doesn't have an ultimate, and he can't get there to flash over the wall. Use the exhaust and first blood to Copenhagen Wolves. Wicker goes bot lane with the teleport. That was not a good start from Inspire.
This is fairly similar to the kind of setup that H2K and Vitality showed. It's by no means the same. Because the Wolves were in their own jungle, and that was Inspire invading into 4 people rather than getting trapped. But man, that kind of stop to try and stop on the Krugs is looking to try and deny the double jungle. Maybe you're looking for the red buff, maybe you're looking for Krugs. The problem is the double jungle and the laners were on the top side of the map, and that is the biggest problem. Is you run into 4 people, you get knocked up, and suddenly you get sent back to the base with a death added to your score.
Oh, top lane, we've got this 2v2 coming in. Panoy gets a bit of damage onto Woolab, but nice arcane shift gets out of the piercing light, so that was actually a nice trade there. So 10-4 currently in the bottom lane in terms of CS because Sartorius is actually pushing. Also, Wicked was slightly late to the lane because of the early game play. Soren in the mid lane there, and just cycling through the junglers. And I heard it was Troven, by the way, is how you pronounce that name.
Okay. Troven.
Yeah.
I will keep that in mind.
Emphasis on the O. And V versus W. Max Law gets that one. Nuxalot was just 1, seeing where Graves was, and 2, maybe he can do something to interrupt, but you don't want to get in melee range, so.
Troven is going into the enemy jungle, though. But going to try and get anything he can done. Cosq off that binding would have maybe been baited into his own engage there. He went aggressive off that binding, so perhaps for the best that it didn't hit.
Serendipitous that he missed that binding. Troven, all right, after him with the bind, the flash as well, and he should be able to pick up this kill. He's bleeding out from the ignite, but with the shield, he may stay alive, and the pod is popped. Cosq survives.
Just survives with that prismatic barrier shield. Of course, shields on the way out and the way back, and the heal that he had there. So Cosq just about surviving. That was very risky from Troven. Flash cocooning, or flashing and then cocooning at two very spaced out, times. That could have gone horribly wrong for Troven if he flashed straight into the light binding. Luckily for him, the timing was on so that he could flash and do that reliably, but a nice attempt does result in no summoners for Cosq now, though.
Yeah, we saw some nice plays recently actually out of the NALCS where we saw junglers on Elise flash forwards and then Volta spiraling. So they expect it to be the cocoon and they flash and then you cocoon them. But right there, he just needed the point blank and then cocoon them, so it was fine.
It was fine.
But the mind games are cool.
It worked.
Alright, Tracker's Knife picked up on both junglers, so fairly standard nowadays. Rarely see junglers go for Sightstone, even though we did see that last week in Challenger. We just don't really see it in like the higher levels of play, and Tracker's Knife is generally all you need. Even Lee Sin will just go for that, and then Warning Totem.
Keeping my eyes on Maxlaw. We heard Kissing's thoughts on Troven and Maxlaw in this this matchup. It's an interesting one. He seems to have a lot of faith in Maxlaw.
Yeah.
It's a player that has been around the scene on the fringe of Challenger, that kind of thing, for a while. Never really had the biggest of success for the last year when you look at it. He was on teams and kind of ended up off the team fairly quickly, the likes of G2. We talked about it, now he's on Inspire. How will he kind of solidify his name? Will he be able to provide the jungle presence that they need for this? Still keeping on watching.
He was always a good jungler like in the UK scene as well, but it was very much a big fish, small bowl type scenario with Maxlaw, so now he's in the ocean. How will he cope?
Let's hope he doesn't drown.
Yes.
Don't know how well Graves can swim, so...
is he running the pool party skin? I don't think he is.
I don't think
so.
No,
maybe less
not.
amphibious this game.
He's running Mafia Graves right now.
I don't think...
With the least shotgun-like shotgun in the world. Like, the Tommy gun is not the best representation. Although that would make Graves a little OP if the skin changed the reload function.
Yes, it would. Taxi service did not work out for Wenderbo. Got fined there. And they'll go for that trade. Troven is in the top lane.
Sorry,
right,
I'm just thinking of other Graves skins. Like, you can only reload pool party Graves if you're in River, because you've got to like dunk it.
Suck up the water. Go for the fight.
The most useless Graves skin in the world. Well,
maybe. It would be funny though. Soren is kind of chilling. Not much has happened in the mid lane apart from that gank from Troven between these two laners. I mean, generally in a Lux lane, you stand so far back. See Cosq being behind his caster minions, and more than that, just kind of at his turret right now. So hard for Soren to get aggressive.
And it's hard for Maxlaw on the other side to get aggressive in the top side as well. You can see him trying to roam up, but look at the wards that are already top side for the Wolves. Not really that Graves is going to get too much done in the Dior lane in this early on, but nevertheless, the wards from the Wolves are pretty much covering everything. River, the first bush in the lane as well. Like, they have good vision top side. Maxlaw, however, is on the bottom side of the map. This looks like Cosq would be roaming down to pick up a buff for himself, but he's actually just clearing out the ward.
Giving out red buff.
Yeah, I was going to say, a red buff. Just help me out here.
Yeah, never really get in range outside of laning phase to really benefit from your auto attacks unless someone is right up in front of you. Likewise, that's why we don't see a lot of Lux players go for like Abyssal Scepter. You only really go for that when the ship is already sinking and you are going to get engaged upon, and it's like, well, I know I'm going to get hit. So.
I think, if I remember rightly, Ica did that.
He did, yes.
The first time he played Lux in the LCS, and I was like, oh, that's admitting defeat right there. I mean, you do want to auto-attack as much as possible in your combo with Lux. Like, you want to be right on that sweet spot where you can kind of like Q auto E auto ult somebody. Maybe if the Q is still active, that's a fairly wide cooldown, so I think the Q would already be gone at that point. But nevertheless, you just want to get that cooldown on rotation, get the extra proc of damage time and time again off the light passive.
Well, preferably you have enough damage to pop them with your combo with light binding, the E, and then ultimate procs the passive anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't need the extra auto. It's,
well, you can throw another auto in your combo which does more damage, but it slows down your killing potential.
Yeah.
Especially if your opponent has like cleanse or like a flash or something.
Or you can ult the wave. That also works.
Yep. Those things can't dodge. Unlike Rift Scuttler. It'd be great if they just like parted. It's just like, screw you, Lux!
Although anybody that ults the Rift Scuttler, if you're trying to secure it yourself, is probably could be using that ult elsewhere on the map.
Hey, we've seen jungle camps can take you out, man.
Yeah. Going back to our first game of the day, with .go dying to wolves.
I still don't even know how that happens.
It's got to be that he was running less armor than he thought.
Yeah. But that's just another reason to give your junglers good pulls. Sartorius bot lane goes in on Wicked. He has to pop his own ultimate, but he's still following after, getting a bit of damage off. He should have his cooldowns in a couple seconds. Lands the Q, gets the slow, and the body slam as well goes through the shield. Sartorius wants the Drunken Rage empowered auto, but doesn't really have anything else after that. We were commenting on how we thought the bot lane trade was going to go and how the lane was going to go, and assumed Lulu would have the better time there. Is 10 CS ahead.
Yep.
But Sartorius has pretty good all-in potential as Gragas.
Speaking of all-in potential, mid lane flash Cocoon again.
And this time CosQ will reaction flash it away as Trown comes after. Maxwell now coming in from the side for the reaction gank and is not quite there in time to land end of the line against the wall, so they'll back off to their tower.
This is getting
volatile spiderlinked.
Pretty predictable from Troven that he's always looking for this mid lane gank. And speaking of the 1v1 in the bottom lane, so difficult to kill the Lulu for the Gragas though. Like he got the good ult, got the follow up into the Q and the body slam, but all of the shields, the wild growth, the you know, disengaged potential from a Lulu in that 1v1 situation is real difficult to deal with. Interestingly enough, as we see Maxwell go into jungle, interestingly we're seeing Wicked going for the Frost Queen's claim, despite it being nerfed, rather than anything like the Athenes for extra magic resist or the Morellos for you know, the damage, the cooldown,
the cheapness.
Yeah, and the cheapness. So opting for the active. Interesting. I haven't had the time to work out how now like the efficiency is of that double knockup.
Did they really have the damage though? Because there's no more CC to keep them in place. Nukeslot has disengage once again on Trundle. Yeah, I mean, against this composition, where they have like heavy poke and they want to try and engage on top of them, it makes sense to try and get in range.
Yeah, that's true.
And he goes for the Swifties as well, so it goes along the same kind of thought process.
Yeah, so they're looking for that single target with the Charm, with the Cocoon.
Yeah.
Only problem with that is you look at the likes of Ezreal, the likes of Gragas, both have a little bit of extra maneuverability. Lux not so much, but she can just bind you if you're chasing. Wendelbo's just throwing out his Pulverize now. Just like, I'm gonna run up and Pulverize you and see if we can do anything. And it's not really working out. Because Sir Nukeslot is kind of just healing up.
Yeah, he's kind of Trundle. So, gets the pillar onto the line. He has the E though, so he's out of there. Ooh, teleport though, and Wendelbo's uses Headbutt. I think he also uses Pulverize as well, but just missed it. Wicked comes in without the teleport in from Sartorius and will knock Wicked into the team. He'll back away here. The disengage from his ultimate is a little too strong, and both the junglers will find each other. Maxwell gets the damage off the wall, and Troven will get out of there. Maxwell still has his ultimate though, so these low health targets in the top lane have to be very careful. There's a lot of long-range ability. Soren comes in, lands the charm onto CosQ. He'll get bumped into the team. And now the re-engage from Copenhagen Wolves, and they take down Lux. Wendelboy also drops slow. That's a 2-for-1 so far. Maxwell has to flash away. Do Copenhagen Wolves have any more follow-up? The flash to charm. The reaction flash from Warlight. He's out.
He is out. So at the beginning of that engage, Wicked flashes forward to try and land the ult knockup and couldn't find it. In response, he's out of position, so Sartorius comes up, cleans things up a little bit with his ultimate to bring people into the fight. Nobody from Wolves died at the beginning of that fight, though, so made it pretty difficult to then keep going. CosQ fell fairly early on. And it was just a bit of a messy fight from both sides when you look at it.
Yeah, very messy. So it looked like a good situation from Inspire, where there's a lot of low health targets from Copenhagen Wolves. They should be able to poke them out, maybe take the tower from that. It was all down to that ultimate charm in from Soren, which really started the fight off and was the catalyst for them to pick up those 2 kills. So nice play by Soren. 1-0-0, going for the Abyssal Scepter early on to this game. Sartorius building AP with CosQ AP as well, or stop him getting bursted. So gonna have a replay of that initial setup. This is very early.
Yeah, this is very early on before that fight. So at this point, we're just waiting on the T-piece to come through. So Wicked flashes as he arrives to look for the knock-up there with his ultimate. Decides against it because I think he could only hit Wendelbo there, and I think his thought process is it's not worth it to flash and ult. Problem is he'd already flashed at that point. Then used his ult a little bit later to keep the rest of his team alive. Then there's this kind of back and forth stalling point. There was the ult, just grazes past Sartorius. Manages to pick one off. And from there, it's just the back and forth. Pinoy drops very early on. And everybody from IE starts to get away from that fight. But it was a 1-for-2 overall in favor of the Wolves.
I really like the follow-up from Sonux a lot. He was chunked low, but moves just in range so he can land the pillar so they can secure the kill on CosQ.
Yeah.
That was just really nice knowledge of how much damage he could take, his positioning compared to how much CC Inspire had already used. So just really nice self-awareness from Sonux a lot. Again on Trundle, we're only really seeing him play Trundle. I want to see him play something else because we need to see if he's like a well-rounded player, because he is an exceptionally good solo queue player. Like, we've seen this, we've talked about it, but if I see him on more champions, I can confirm that he's a good player.
That's the real test, right?
It is. I mean, he might be a one-trick Trundle support. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Well, he's got time to prove it to us.
Because you don't get to the top of Challenger by only playing Trundle.
Well, some people do it by only playing Shaco, or Rengar.
That's true.
So
Rengar got hit though in 6-2, so good times.
One thing in this game that differs slightly to the last game, since we have the Frost Queen's Claim Spooky Ghost active, I actually don't mind CosQ going Swiftness Boots so much, because he's one of the targets that will suffer if he gets caught out by them, does want that reduced slows. So it kind of makes sense in that situation. Will hit his cooldown reduction a bit, but does have 20% coming from that Morellonomicon as it is.
Well, Swiftness Boots are like double good against Frost Queens. Not only is it like a cheap alternative, but it also blocks like some of the slow, reduces that, and you don't lose anything from going Swifties, because like the alternative would just be going for like Lucidity. So you're not even losing gold out, because sometimes when you have to itemize against someone who's like going for a specific build, it's like, well, I have to get this because otherwise, I'm gonna die. Like a Quicksilver Sash against like a Malzahar or something. Like, you have to get it. Like, that's a lot of gold invested that you wouldn't have gotten normally. You would have gone for a bigger damage item, whereas Swiftness Boots, it's all good, man. It's all gravy.
I have a moment
What's
going
that?
on right now, and that is that Soren has a sweeper trinket, the one that tracks with you, which is very rare to see on a laner that isn't a support. Solo laners we've typically seen go blue trinket or go yellow trinket, just to keep extra vision, so that you don't end up losing a lot of vision for yourself. So what that tells you, with the fact that there's the Cocoon presence, there's the Ari Charm presence, they're looking to set up these small areas where Inspire have no vision control at all, and that's where Copenhagen Wolves are going to want to fight. The problem with that is, if Inspire just pick up like 3 blue trinkets, you just put the blue trinket down, and it's like, well, I guess we're not going there now. We have no vision control. So it's a weird one. I'll see whether Soren swaps it out, but it's definitely a difference to what we've normally seen. Yeah,
for sure. He's also Ari, so it's easy for him to be deeper in and then use his ultimate as a defensive tool. Because you wouldn't do it on like an immobile mid laner.
Yeah.
Nukes a lot. That's a lot of damage from Woolite, actually. Even with the nerfs to Thunderlords doing a lot of damage, Pinoy trying his best to clear the wave, gets caught by the binding, but there is no follow-up really from Inspire. Ultimate goes bot lane, and Soren was thinking about going down there. Actually, the mini wave survived, so maybe he will carry on going down.
Yeah, at this point it's only rank 1 ult, so... Sartorius got dodged.
Troven goes up with the repel, and that is the flash burn. So the pick potential is lost there from Sartorius. That was really nice timing from Troven.
Yeah, really good timing, especially when you consider that was the flash coming in from Sartorius. And Troven didn't even use his. It was just an instinct repel, so good timing. Doesn't save the turret, unfortunately, for the Copenhagen Wolves. And Sartorius is going to save bottom tower, so... A bit of a win across the map for Sartorius and the rest of Inspire, not getting cross-mapped.
Constant poke from Warlight is starting to gear up. You were talking about the item differential between Warlight getting big and the kind of Lucian-Lulu combination getting big. Warlight has already picked up his Iceborne Gauntlet, so he's ahead of the curve.
He is ahead of the curve. Lucian-Lulu is still not there. It still needs the second and third items to be picked up, or at least the second items for Wicked and Pinoy to make it as strong as we've seen from Origin. Good combo out of the bush from Sartorius.
Knocked him out of his own barrel, though.
Yeah,
so
it was good to start.
Yeah, started as a 10, then dropped to around a 6 out of 10 now. Well, Sartorius will carry on farming. Maxlaw, he's actually just walked into the bush in full range of the minions, so I mean Soren knows he's there unless he goes for the double mind game where he's like, I've recalled, but Soren then gets picked up. Now he's gone back to base.
So one thing I've noticed that Sartorius does a lot, which is the signs of a good Gragas player, is when you mask the barrel under the body slam. Because Gragas is fat, his model actually can block the animation of the barrel rolling out before the indicator appears. So if you, it's basically QE right after the other, like click, click.
Yeah.
And you roll the barrel out, you hit them, they stay in the barrel. That time didn't work out for him, but it's just one of those little tricks you'll see happen. And it's like, whoa, where did that damage come from? Oh, there was a barrel hiding underneath.
That's an old trick as well.
It is.
I remember you talking about that like years ago when you learned it from Dignitas, right?
Yeah, I was speaking to Skara actually, who big Gragas player, used to watch a load of this streamer called Gragas God, who I believe is a Taiwanese streamer. Yeah. All he played was Gragas, all day, every day.
I mean, if you name yourself Gragas God, like,
know,
you're not gonna pick up Yasuo one game and be like, well, I got bored.
Well, it's just one of those situations where like seeing these little tricks is like the difference between players that just kind of play Gragas and players that play a lot of Gragas, like Sartorius. So.
Really separates the good Gragases from the great Gragases for sure. Stress. There's a lot of nice small tricks, like specifically flash mechanics. Also something that applies to Gragas, like E flash. When you still have momentum, you can get the E. You can change directions even, which is really nice. Same with Shen. Same with even Jarvan. If you still have momentum, you can flash like over a wall. You can get a knock-up. It's really nice, but you have to flash on top of them. It doesn't like extend it. So for example, like Shen, if you flash over them, you will not get the stun. You have to flash onto them. Yeah. But the fact that you can change direction in like a radius around where you would have landed with Shadow Dash is a big deal.
Feels bad for Soren, man. He see, this is one of the things, is that blue trinket is just like, oh, we haven't got vision in that bush. I guess there's probably an Elise there. So.
That was actually an interaction we saw earlier with Troven and Maxlaw that we didn't comment on. Maxlaw's Raptor buff got popped near a pink ward from Troven. Yeah. And Troven was like, he's going to check this bush now. And he just walked past and it's like, nope, I'm going for the crab, buddy. Well,
the Wolves did just pick off a couple of blue pink wards from our blue team, Inspire. Got one in the bottom lane for Soren. This is one of the other uses of Gragas. Just put that barrel down. Has a nice radius just to zone out the entire area. Mid lane is just about going to fall for the Wolves.
Yeah, they're going to have to stay. They're out. It's good. That was a really nice reaction play from Copenhagen Wolves because they pushed the middle lane, they get the tower, they push the top lane as well, and Sartorius does not have his teleport, so he can't easily get back up there. So now Inspire, the onus is on them to make a play in the mid lane and try and take the tower, because otherwise they just lose something in the top lane for nothing. They have the small window where Wicked is now going back to base, but also has a teleport. So the window is closing, and it may close on their hands.
Soren, though. Well, that's a lot of damage already coming from that Ezreal.
On Soren. He still has his summoners and his ultimate. The flash forward from Wendelbo does not get the knock-up. Pops his own ultimate, has to back away. The minion wave is gone, but that is a lot of poke in from the Siege team of Inspire. Minion waves trickling in, and Inspire made the call to stick around. And Soren did not go back.
Yeah, they've got a lot of poking potential here with this Ezreal, with this Lux as well. Like, they land one slow, and suddenly the Light Binding lands, the rest of the follow-up. Ooh, flash forwards from Sartorius.
Does not connect, and the tower is going to go down. This is the main objective here from Inspire. Get it and get out, smash and grab. But maybe Copenhagen Wolves can chase them down. Warlight drops low, and Troven is after him. Can't quite finish him off, though. However, they did get Sartorius, who doesn't have his own flash, as he used it as an offensive tool. Maxter and Cosq are out, but get hit by the Spooky Ghost. Cosq has now gotten that worn off, and the slow is off. So Swiftness Boots are paying off.
A little bit of a change there on priority for Wicked. Wicked was speeding up Soren for the majority of that fight. What we've seen other teams do is speed up the Lucian. That's what we've seen so much from Origin this last week. So while it's not a particularly bad thing to do, it certainly is a little bit more reliant on cooldowns. So if you're speeding up the likes of an Ahri, whereas a Lucian just runs forward auto-attacking. Like, you get so much more damage off from just being able to constantly chase, have the shields, the protection. So Wolves weren't able to continue chasing that, but there was a bit of a problem in that fight when it comes to Woolite being left on his own. Woolite in the top side jungle got pushed out very quickly on in that fight, and couldn't survive, had to go all the way back. Did manage to just last the fight on like 100 health, but if that happens again, that's problematic for Inspire.
There was a possibility of mid tower being picked up by Inspire there, because they managed to stop the recall from Pinoy, and also there was a recall on the bottom lane, but the window was closed as Nuxalot was around the area. Wendelbo potentially caught out in the jungle, has his ultimate, and will pop it now, and that's all Copenhagen Wolves need. They just back away. Red buff is up, but it starts resetting. Ran out of patience, but Woolite still wants this red buff. It would be very nice on him. But with Troven there, he'll just smite it away with Venom's Bite for the execute damage. There comes the ultimate. Tags Troven. And we'll hit some of the minions as they literally just spawn from base.
This is kind of deja vu from last week, though, when it comes to what Inspire are doing. The split push is... Ooh, we saw Cosq get charmed. Split push from Sartorius on this Gragas.
Yeah.
Wicked probably won't die if he gets caught out by Sartorius, but it'll be enough to force him away. Wicked doesn't have his flash either, so a barrel could make things more problematic for him than he would like.
The big difference from this week and last week is before Sartorius could just pop whoever turns up to lane. This time might be a little bit harder for him. That being said, Wicked did not go for a tanky build. He went into the death cap immediately after his Frost Queen's claim. Troven actually going into the jungle and is by himself. Repels up, but where does he have to go? He just has to come back down again, and they'll just finish him off. That was greedy by Troven.
Yeah, that was the single target from IE, just being able to continuously land that crowd control and keep somebody in place. Oh, Explosive Cast did not hit.
Yeah, but this bottom tower is being sieged up. Nuxalot gets CC'd in place. He'll take some more damage. True Shot Barrage comes through. Soren off to the side. Maybe he can get a good flank off. I believe he's been spotted. IE know where he is. Cosq gets charmed in again, and he goes down. That's just an easy one. He's getting charmed a lot this game.
Cosq was in tower range as well. That was one of the most surprising things with a champion like Lux, who normally has the ability to sit back in a fight, the ability to kind of use max range skill shots. At that point, pushing in towards a turret, a lot of that was because of how far back in the lane the Wolves were sitting. They were kind of protected behind their turret, but just greedy from Cosq, trying to push forward, trying to get more damage onto the tower, and just gets caught out because of it. Like, if that continues to happen, it's going to slow down any chance Inspire have. I mean, the Wolves are ahead. It may not feel like it because of the last few minutes from Inspire and how they've been working through the jungle, but Inspire are going to suddenly, or you know, quite rapidly give over a lot of gold to Copenhagen Wolves if they end up in situations where Soren is picking people off like that.
I bet Cosq is the type of player who picks Lichbane and solo queue on Lux. This is super greedy. Like, I can get this.
I do that.
But like, you can swing it in solo queue. You can get it when people are unorganized. But when you're in competitive, when Copenhagen Wolves have a hard engage comp against a very obvious poke, like you can't afford to do that. So getting punished a lot. Those have been 3 big charms. Two of them have resulted in kills. The others have just kind of been scary.
Also relies a lot on magic resist. If they're not running a lot of MR, Lich Bane's actually okay to go. I'm trying to justify it now.
I mean, like, it's always good to go if you can get in melee range of, like, your opponents who will just kill you.
I mean, if you're playing single target catch.
Yeah, okay, but if you have,
this, however, is not single target catch.
CC.
This is like 4-1 with the Gragas in a side lane and then siege a tower.
Yeah.
And then hope you don't lose the fight.
Now is not the time to build that.
Soren gets Woolite.
Oh, a lot of damage coming out. Wicked pops his own ultimate to get the knock-up. Woolite will jump away. And now the disengage is coming across. That's a lot of damage in from the ultimate from Sartorius. But Copenhagen Wolves still persist. The minion wave is pushing down the mid lane. And they may have the positioning over Inspire for the mid lane turret. They decided to back off instead of getting flanked. Woolite was actually very far forwards. And I believe they'll go for the dragon.
Soren?
Or
Oh, he's got him.
Soren over the wall. The flash charm, the kill. Very nice shutdown onto Woolite. Soren has been playing so well this game.
Yeah, this has been a great game for him. And, you know, at that situation, that's Woolite just stepping far too far forward for no reason. Woolite was saved by his Maw of Malmortius in the previous little skirmish where he got chunked out, and then greedily sticks around to try and get a little bit more farm under his belt. And that's just Soren reading Woolite like a book. He says, I'm pretty much sure he's going to stay here.
Well, Bundlebow did not have his ultimate, so that's a dead cow. Bottom tower is being chunked away. CosQ takes both swings of the Orb of Deception and gets taken down to 60%. They could just wait around and siege this turret once again. Copenhagen Wolves, nothing really stopping them.
No, not a lot stopping them, especially with Troven around the back. And the teleport coming in from Wicked now.
This will come in very, very quickly, but Troven goes down. He had the flash and he had the repel, but they get the turret as long as they can get out of here safely. Soren pops the ultimate to get away from IE. Ultimate comes across. Final spark was not enough damage to finish them off, but they got the tower, and even a tower for a kill is fine.
I do wonder, though, whether Wolves could have got that tower without Troven going quite so ham under the turret and getting caught out. They didn't really read when Woolite was coming back, and it just kind of timed out fairly badly. Third dragon of the game, the second one for Inspire, going over to the team. So, for Inspire, looking at what their next move needs to be, it's very similar for kind of both teams right now, is no team has really opted for a lot of vision control over the Baron. They've actually been content for both teams to have a blue trinket sat in Baron for the last few minutes.
Yeah.
I think right now, if you're Inspire, one of your ways of kind of getting back in this game, or at least looking to kind of get back against Copenhagen Wolves, is just control a lot of that vision. It's difficult, however, against 3 sweepers. But sweeper trinkets, they'll find out, you know, the Sightstone wards fairly efficiently. And the fact that Inspire have 2 blue trinkets means that those wards are going to get caught out just by walking over them. So it is tough for Inspire to actually assume control of vision.
And they really need vision control over Baron because they're a poke composition against Copenhagen Wolves who are probably going to be the ones to start it.
Yeah.
A poke composition really flourishes around objectives they can poke their opponent down. And when they're all trapped in Baron Pit, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But currently, there is no vision. There's some vision, but it's gone.
So, the problem with only having 2 blue trinkets is now you've got to kind of space your blue trinkets out here. It's like, well, we used 1. Let's not instantly use the second. So now there's this window for the Wolves where they can be doing Baron. There's the blue trinket that comes out, spots them on the Baron. Now Inspire are reacting to this. Sartorius just TP'd up, I believe. Baron's already gone.
Yeah. Then they just took it. Usually you can't sneak Barons anymore because blue trinkets are a thing, but because they did it right after the first one was used, the other one wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So Copenhagen just suck it.
It was ready. Like, Inspire had the second one up.
Yeah.
But the reason they didn't want to use it immediately is because then you know there's no chance of a sweeper coming around. So it's a lot easier to take that Baron. Also, Sartorius, even though he's still got his yellow trinket, it's not the end of the world in that scenario because he was never going to be close enough to use a blue trinket anyway. So that situation wasn't particularly different, but just Copenhagen Wolves, good ability to wait out the first one and then go
exactly.
For the second.
Misworded from me. What I meant is you space it as you were mentioning, so that you have even spacing.
It's
rather
a
than
real
like,
tough
place
situation.
both of them at the same time.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a real tough situation, right? Because it's it's a gamble on like how fast can they do Baron, when and like how many of people are around in vision already, and that's the gap between the blue trinket usage, right?
Yeah.
Is like if they started immediately, I hope their Baron isn't super quick
Yes.
with like an Elise, an illusion that.
I hope not.
I really hope it's not that quick.
Even with a Lulu who's built basically pure damage, has picked up the Rod of Ages now, and is now going tank. But maybe greedy. We're going for a first item, Death Cap. But when you're Lulu and you're not really in threat of Gragas and its skills from your ultimate, and you're only really going to be using on yourself in a 1v1, it's fine.
There's a real hefty level advantage for the Wolves right now. Soren's level 17, Kozku's level 15. Woolite is 3 levels behind Pinoy as well. Like, this is a real tough fight if they ever end up in one. Woolite does have a fair amount of damage though. That is one thing that you can't really overlook. Problem is the wave clear for Inspire is fairly magic heavy. Ezreal without his ult doesn't really clear waves all that much. And Soren is in the bottom lane as well to clear it out, so you can see Sartorius throws out the barrel and it doesn't really do too much to those front minions.
However, Soren can't really kill Sartorius. That being said, Sartorius can't really kill Soren either, so...
But he can have the minions kill the turret.
Yes, yes he can. Trovan comes down, Maxwell is there for wave clear. Actually, it's better if Soren's just by himself, because as soon as you have 2 people, then it draws Maxwell down, and he can start wave clearing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of wave clear on the side of IE, so you just want Sartorius by himself, really.
Pretty much.
It's one of those,
but the rest of Wolves have come down as well, so...
But now nothing gets achieved. But now they go back into the mid lane, and then they start hitting that one as well, so slowly chipping away at these turrets.
Man, those siege minions with the added Baron, or what was the added Baron buff, is now timed out.
Yeah, I want them to get banner so we can start naming the minions. So you can't name them, they've just been buffed.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a banner on Wendelbo, because... maybe there will. No, it is. Okay, it is. I was going to say there's no locket.
He doesn't have Baron! That's the point.
I'm just what I was saying, like, what I was thinking is normally you'll see a banner if there's a locket already. And if not, you'll see the locket come first. Just because, you know, the added shield, you know, the magic resist, that kind of thing, is a nice little boon. I don't think it's the worst option in the world. I still think it's fine. Will deny Soren and Wicked's ability to push on a side lane. So it does now hold back one of the side lanes for Copenhagen Wolves.
Which is nice because Soren is one of the people who are going to be split pushing in this game because he's 5-0-0.
Yeah.
Trovan looking for the flank off to the side. Soren's there as well, and Wicked, everyone's closing in, but Copenhagen Wolves, they need to close the noose because right now they're being picked off to the side, and Wendelbo is still zoning them. Now he's going to go down. Did not pop his ultimate. He still had Unbreakable Will. Maxtor backs away with his team there. There's the ultimate in from Kozku, but a flash forward from Pinoy. He tries to pick up the kill. Double kill. Now in for Pinoy, though. A 2-for-0, but everyone is critical for Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, everybody dropped pretty low. They're still looking to push. Wendelbo in that... Oh, whoa.
And Pinoy now, Woolite is getting all the damage off as they stick around. Copenhagen Wolves maybe biting off a little more they can chew, staying around when it was so low, and Woolite on Ezreal will happily clean up that one.
Yeah, he will. Man, Copenhagen Wolves have been looking pretty good this game. They've now got a 10k gold lead, and Inspire just really haven't had an answer to the Wolves ever since Soren started opening up this game. Ever since Soren got his 3 kills, there's really been no response from Inspire. They've tried to make fights happen, but Wendelbo, as he said, died without using his ultimate during this entire fight here, so actually goes on to Soren. Like, there's a lot of points here where Wendelbo could be looking to ult soon, but the fight gets split, so I think he second guesses himself, then takes a massive amount of damage, and ends up a little too low after that, and it's just like, okay, well, I guess I'm dead here then.
Yeah, a little weird. And this fight was just finished off by, well, like getting a bit of poke damage, but then Copenhagen will stay around.
And that was Pinoy just having the shield on him there as well, always being able to go forward. Trowan got caught out himself, but it was a nice little consolation pick-off for Inspire, but honestly, Copenhagen Wolves are in such a good spot right now.
They really are. And Kasing, you're about to be wrong, because you said 2-0.
Oh, that's very true. That is true. Okay.
There's still time for you to be right, but... It's not looking good.
Second banner minion. The first one went down mid lane. Not really the best place to send it.
Nope.
Second one went into bottom lane and promptly dies, because that's where Pinoy is with
everyone else.
And they're able to just chunk through it. So realistically, it needs to be in a side lane, not with Pinoy in, because otherwise it doesn't do too much.
Well, we've got another one in maybe 90 seconds from now. So hopefully I survive that long and can use that again. But seems fairly unlikely as Sartorius is trying to clear the top wave. And bot is slowly dying into Copenhagen Wolves. They have all the time in the world. They don't need to be aggressive. They don't need to engage onto tower. They just need to poke away the turret. And once they do, it's basically curtains for Inspire right now. I
mean, this is the point of the game where Copenhagen Wolves can continue to just move forward with Pinoy. Like, always be putting out damage, always be looking for engages. Like in the bottom lane with Pinoy going forward now. As soon as they spot nobody is behind this turret, everybody from Inspire moved up because they didn't have vision control of Copenhagen Wolves moving through their own jungle.
And in this situation, the defending team should be slightly faster to react because they have less room to go. But Copenhagen Wolves still beat them. So
right, but that was the Wolves kind of pre-planning that. They said, let's drop into the jungle, sweep everything out. They won't be able to spot us. And as soon as we see them head towards mid lane, we rush in, get the Lulu on the Lucian, go in bot lane. And that's exactly what they did, and it works out very well. Again, we're in this situation around the Baron, where Inspire just don't have the vision. Copenhagen Wolves have started it up.
Wendelboe just failed his Pulverize, and that's the Baron going over to Trovan, so there's no reason for Inspire to be here anymore. Sartorius goes down. Wendelboe going to beat the sacrificial cow. He goes out for the double kill for Pinoy. And CosQ is taking so much damage from the Lucian, though. The culling is used and jukes him away. Maybe he can get the kill. Stops the ultimate with a 1v2, the triple, the quadra kill in for Pinoy. Can he make it the Penta? He's going up against Woolite. Goes for the one-on-one. Woolite, he gets it! He shuts him down for the Penta kill.
Holy Penta kill. Man, that was a sick play from Pinoy to get that 1v1 at the end. It looked like Woolite had it. The more of Marmortius procced, and it looked like he had enough to survive through, but Pinoy has gone completely ham to end this game.
That was the most intense 1v1 for a pentakill I've ever seen, and that will also draw this game to a close. Copenhagen Wolves with the first win of this best of two.
Oh, that was pretty sweet to see.
I want to see that one again in slow motion, like 0.25 speed, because a lot happens in those couple seconds.
Yeah, that whole sequence was everything from just cancelling the culling, making sure he can catch up, and then Woolite. So Woolite didn't give him the pentakill in the sense that he just walks up. Woolite's like, if you want the pentakill, you're going to have to come through me.
Yeah.
And Pinoy goes, all right, got ya.
Yep.
And then, just...
However, props to Woolite for actually going for that, because he could just sat at basically like and deny the penta, but he actually went for the duel.
Yeah.
It's like, I will have this gentleman's 1v1 shootout saloon with you.
The gatekeeper of the pentakill.
And there was like, no one else was going to interact in that. It was a pure 1v1. So... that was good to see. Dear. Respect to Woolite.
Respect to Woolite.
Yeah. Still
I mean, he lost. He lost the duel, but like, I guess
cool.
There's no shame in losing in that duel.
Not in that way.
Not in that way.
If you brought like a friend along, it's just like waiting off to the side. It's like as soon as he starts losing, you cocoon him.
Dear.
But he wasn't playing Elise, so.
That was a pretty explosive ending to the game. Fairly slow pace game. I was kind of expecting that from having. Like an Ezreal on one side, and then the Lulu Lucian on the other side, where it just extends the game a little bit. It's not quite the same as the Corki fast siege that we've seen other games, so a little bit more tempered from both teams that game, but ultimately Kissing was wrong.
Yeah,
I think that is the takeaway.
That is the takeaway. That is the bottom line. Anyway, we have to take a quick breather, but we'll return in 3.5, so don't go anywhere.